elements. One of course is the data analytics. Second is space technology. Third, genomics, and the fourth, the material sciences and technologies related to it. So if you bring all of this together, I think we will be in a position to talk about a technology dominant nation. Now look at the data analytics and the business intelligence that we need to talk about. I think already my previous speakers have very elaborately brought out these topics. We have huge amount of data. What is missing is creation of the intelligence to make sense out of it and make decisions which can be supporting the governance. Of course, zero government, maximum governance is the motto as the minister has already told in the inaugural session today. The data as a service and the demand access to the information, on-demand access to the information is very key. And we have to create a structure by which the data that we have today is actually feeding into this decision making, which is really not happening now. We also have to create much more data generation. Of course, the precision of information prediction for optimum sets of decisions are very, very important. And also real-time data collection mechanisms. And definitely the human-machine symbiosis is very, very important in this matters of data collection. We believe that as far as India is concerned, this domain, we can look at three elements. One, we have had a very flourishing software industry. Of course, there is a criticism that we are looking at the lower end of the software technologies, but not at the product level. Of course, this is something that we need to discuss. In space technology, we have somebody to look at. We have a self-reliant space technology system capable of doing what we want. And we also have a such a huge internet penetration in this country where at least 47% of the population have an access. And this gives us a huge advantage with respect to providing digital solutions for the technology enabled government. Now coming to space in 2047, we know that the increasing in private participation in space activities is something that the government has already announced, and the Space Department is moving towards this goal of bringing in more and more private players into space. That is continued for still yesterday being in the governmental activity, and Department of Space is now opening up inviting space startups and ecosystems to come. And through this only we believe that the overall economy related to space can be substantially increased, something like to 1.8% of India's GDP by 2047. And the overall space economy is going to be of the order of 1.5 trillion by 2047, based on certain projections. And I believe with the 2047 we will also look at and see frequent travel by people from this country to space. And this is what we look at it. And in India, we look at the overall economy. There will be a significant share of space economy, at least 1.8%. And we will be looking at the, as far as the finance is concerned, the second order impact is what is more important, where the services and the technology also providing services will be the dominant factor and not really the rockets or spacecraft. And we will definitely create a regional alliance in space technology, not only India, but also the countries in and around us has to become part of this alliance where we created services and markets for industries in India working in space technologies to really provide solutions for the global community. The biotechnology is another domain where we have to pay attention. Where basically if you look at genomics and neurological customization, artificial intelligence powered pharmaceutical creation, precision therapies development, biosensors, where it's a huge market where it is linked to providing health information to individuals, infection detection and creating databases for it. Now creation of food through biotechnology and bioengineering of various systems. As far as India is concerned, I believe if you really contribute significantly in this domain, you will end up with significant reduction in government expenditure in healthcare, and also this will become a widespread and affordable healthcare system in this country, which is very, very important. So this is a very fast-growing sector, and it is possible that we can really become the global center for manufacturing of these pharmaceuticals and large-scale R&D. It is already there, but still it has to be expanded. Come to the materials. I think people want to really quickly realize material science is so important for a nation to really become technologically upfront and over the top. Today, our strength in this domain is not really great. I will tell you some areas. For example, electronic materials. We have not done great at all. We also have metallic materials production in India. India is one of the biggest producer of aluminum, steel, etc. But if you look at the high-end products, even for the space sector, everything is important. Even, and I know for aluminum, we have been looking at how to produce thin sheets in this country. Simply not there. Though we are one of the best producers of aluminum. Now we also have to work on hydrogen economy, where the hydrogen storage, carbon dioxide capture. Our ability to handle nuclear fuel has to be substantially increased. Energy production domain, there is a lot of work to be done. Composites and high-end materials, absolutely no work being done here. We are still dependent on hugely on import. Recycling technologies for materials where we need to work on. So we believe that if you really work on materials and technology, really the overall technological growth in various domains will substantially increase. Of course, we discussed on the manufacturing domains and various electronic revolution sectors. Let me conclude with the slide saying that Earth 2.0 will emerge by 2047, where India has to be one of the leading nations, where the Earth as a springboard for exploration, habitation, and settlement really will happen. And I believe that the combination of space technology, data analytics and intelligence, material science and technologies, genomics and related biotechnology development, if add together, we will create a technology-savvy nation, friendly nation, where there is a possibility that human sustenance in a very difficult situation, where the growth of technology really creates an uncertainty for the human beings on the earth. It creates an environment which is very not conducive for human societies to survive, but all those threats can be minimized, and we will really become an enabler for human beings to thrive on this planet and beyond. And I believe the space technology is also going to revolutionize another 25 years, where the travel of the human beings beyond Earth will also become a reality. And we would like to be pioneers and providers of those services from this country also. So with this, let me conclude, and thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your interesting insights. May I now invite Professor Aayog a senior faculty in Aayog, to share his thoughts on India 2047. Professor Jhunjhunwala has conceived and built the first IT business research park at Aayog, Madras, and incubated and nurtured about 240 companies in the research park. We are looking forward for the talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll try to be as soon as possible, as fast as possible. A lot has been spoken. I'm probably going to focus on 25 years. I consider it a very critical, as has been spoken by the previous year. Last 30 years, we have done well. Our economy has grown by 6.5 times. And the concern is very high income disparity. Remember that 84-85% of the population still earn less than 25,000 rupees per month. Now, there are programs like Aayog, free rations over the last few years has helped a lot. But I think we need to do much, much better. Indian education is much stronger. 30 years, 40 years back, very small percentage used to go to school, very small percentage to college. Today, that is no longer true. 1 million engineering graduates are there. There is uneven quality, but we can actually fix that. India's strength is, number one, is young population. Our young population, and this is the figure that I showed, that today are between 2024. That's where our peak population is. That number is going to continue for the next 25 years. Is therefore our biggest opportunity, and we need to worry about that they have to be nurtured and they cannot be unemployed. We have large market therefore, but at affordable prices. Never forget that. We have a society with virtuous nature. It's a very positive thing. We can therefore easily align our society and our goals. We are a strong democracy, independent media, judiciary, regulators help the right environment. India's GDP growth can easily grow 7 to 9%, like Amitabh was saying, maybe 10%. What we did about a month back, a little more than a month back, that when we start with this, that start thinking in terms of 2047. We don't say, instead of us trying to tell what should be done, we are old people. Why don't we get young people? We asked, therefore, the department to send about 40 young officers between 30 to 35. We coupled them with 40 young faculty around 35 years of age. And then we had 80 entrepreneurs, again, of similar age. And this, we brought them together. For 3 days, they discussed, debated, and we asked them to write the vision paper, the first draft, and keep on modifying in 10 different areas, and keep on modifying that vision paper 3 months down the line, 6 months from then, and 6 months from now, then. Because I think unless we involve you people, young people, into this vision, it will be again our vision. You have to make it happen, create the vision, and make it happen. What do we want? The general conclusion was that we want every citizen an opportunity to flourish, irrespective of their caste, religion, geography, or economic status. We should certainly have all families above poverty line. Everybody should have a voice and a thriving entrepreneurship opportunity, great governance, flourishing spiritual and cultural tradition. This is what the overall conclusion was that we want. As the largest nation, that time we will be the largest nation in terms of population, we should aim to become the natural leader. Not somebody because we want to impose it, but we should be naturally looked at by the world as a natural leader. Now this 25-year vision doesn't mean anything unless we start it. What can we achieve next year? What can we achieve 5 years from now? What can we achieve 10 years from now? And next 25 years. And this is therefore what we try to do. Leverage technology fully, as we talked about. Import whatever is needed today, but plan to master all technologies so as to alleviate need for technology import tomorrow. Similarly, use and cultivate local materials. Material was what we talked about in resources. Today we import a whole lot. Import what is needed. Don't hesitate. But to fully recycle and reuse every bit, such that tomorrow we don't have to import it. This is the overall starting point that I want to start. I enable our youth in scale, in quality, inclusiveness cannot be compromised. Higher education, today it is 27% GR. We have to get to much higher number. And the kind of universities that we have are not going to get us there. We need to create a digital university, each 100,000 students. Today, many of us send our children abroad. Why? Because we don't have the top quality institute. We need to create that easy entry and performance-based multiple entry. All our students who want to study should be able to get it. And we have been trying to do something like that. Academic-based education has to be replaced or has to be enhanced with skill-based education. And our young population has to be prepared to service the world population. As we also, we will be the youngest nation. We should service the whole world. Healthcare, we have to combine the modern and the traditional healthcare to provide quality and affordable basic health services to everyone. Leverage ICT as much as possible. It's already being leveraged. But promote healthy food, exercise, and yoga to mitigate lifestyle disease. Healthcare insurance for all who cannot afford, and fulfilled aging. Avoid onerous healthcare towards end of life. And we have a tradition that people have to go at some point. Let it be painless, but let people go when they need to go. Don't spend too much money here. We of course need a fossil-free transport that we can get much faster. And make sure that wherever we live, transport to our office should go back and forth should not be more than 30 minutes a day. Otherwise, we're wasting hours just traveling. This is not the India that we want. Efficient goods transport we need wherever we live. Abundance in communication, this will happen much earlier. We started sometime. Today 4G is happening, 5G is going to happen soon, and everywhere and everywhere. 100% renewable energy we need. Electricity through solar, wind, hydro, ocean waves, and maybe some small and modular nuclear. Decentralized and centralized storage, electric-based hydrogen for fertilizer and steel and cement industry. All these are doable in the next 10 years. We don't have to wait for 25 years. The important thing, abundance of energy, but consume as needed for simple living. This is again our tradition. We don't want to waste energy. Energy waste must be avoided, otherwise we cannot get there. Water, very precious resource. I was very glad around 2014, I saw a Prime Minister talking about her doomsday system. Are we following that? Are we ensuring that happens? Recycling every drop, having sufficient water. Already was being talked about fintech. Our last question has been included. Fintech for rich, there is no problem. There is enough technology available. Can we do the fintech for people who earn 20,000 rupees, household income less than 20,000? That is where our challenge is. Agriculture must become a profitable venture. We don't need to have more than 15% of population agriculture. But we have large rural population in food processing and services. That's what we need to develop. Small to medium scale agro processing units from village to crop level. And we need to develop a full lot. We need to create BPOs in village. Every BPO, there is no reason why it cannot have a BPO. Because so that the young people continue to stay there rather than migrate. And we need to use traditional and modern technology mix to yield good soil conserving and groundwater conserving agriculture. And yet enough. We need 250 kg per person. That's very close to that. So that our both people as well as animals don't have any hunger at all. And we of course need vegetation and forest land. Digital governance. This is one thing that we need to do, and not again in 25 years, maybe in 10 years time. Single citizen card, multiplicity of cards, any number of verifications, all that is confusing even people like us. Ordinary village person will just get totally confused. We just need that. All processes should be digital. And those who don't have access to digital, we have to ensure that they will get digital. And we shouldn't have to ever go to any government office for any forward. We should be able to do digital, and we should see to it that 99% of the impact is auto. Those which do not get an auto in the beginning, we could have video conferencing, etc. But after that, we need to be able to deal sympathetically with the exceptions, with empathy. But I will sort of say, have auto-approve requests and trend towards 9% by 2047. And this should be a metric for evaluation of a service. Are you able to get it auto-approved? If you are doing too much of interaction, there is a problem. Technology innovation focus, we need all kinds of things. Deep technology, which will require a lot of industry and academia interaction. No quick results. Multiple failures will take place before we get success. We should be prepared for failures, otherwise we will never get anywhere. We need large number of youngsters who are inspired. Software applications, that we are able to do today. There are no hanging fruits. But software products is what we need to focus. That will still require tough and long work and collaboration. Already companies like Zoho and Freshworks, which have merged from IIT Madras, are doing this. We need to do actually much. There are a lot of internet, IT and simulators enabled early days. Electronic and mechanical systems today can be very easily designed by us. In 2 to 4 years, we can do a lot of technology which are communication systems, AI and data analysis, robotic systems, battery pack, IC design, auto sector, USB, medical instrumentation and diagnostics, education technology, chillers and heat pumps. These are well within our capabilities. And we need to try to get them in 5 to 7 years, not longer. Even complex systems may take a little more time. But there are more difficult technologies. Some of that was being talked about. Chemical and processing, material technology. We will not be able to be the leaders in 5 years. But that's where we need 10, 15, 20 years, 15 years. Battery cell technology, hydrogen cell, electrolyzer and fuel cells, solar cells. We import all our solar cells. Pharmaceuticals, construction materials and techniques. We need a lot more. And some software and IoT may help us in short term, but we need to get there. We need many other technologies, recycling technology, all kinds of agricultural technology, water preservation and recycling, food processing and packaging technology, waste disposal and screening. This should be one of the top important things. We don't have enough technology. Technology for environmental renewal, technology to help highly dense urban life, education and healthcare technology. Well, all that I say is we have been trying to do it at Aayog Madras but many of you a month and a half back have visited us. I'm not going to talk about that, but that's what we really need to do. My right slide, this quarter century can be and must be that. It's up to us to make it. Whole of India needs to focus its energy towards constructive work. That's very important. Avoid all kind of dissonance and minimize difference. Strengthen its democracy. Because it is the best people, the scientists flourish, the technology flourish where there is a strong democracy. Amitabh knows that very well. Linked to Indian values of simple living, worshipping nature, and Sarvadharmisam Sambhava. That is what will strengthen India and get our young people. And when I met these young IAS officers, along with the young faculty and young entrepreneurs, I was very certain that we can actually achieve. And let's just get there. But not wait for 25 years. Let's get somewhere in next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. We need to make programs year after year to get there. We should try to get to what we want to get to go in 20% by 2040. We will get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your very inspiring thoughts, simple but innovative solutions for your India. Now, if the chair permits, the floor may be open for discussion. Those who want to speak, kindly raise your hand. We'll reach you with mic. Yes, thank you.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to everyone, sir. Sir, I am Dr. Lakshmipriya from 2014 IAA batch from Assam Cadre. Presently, I am receiving Bongaigaon district. Sir, I am speaking from what I had in my mind when I thought I would appear for UPSC exam, being a medical doctor, and after experiencing whatever I have seen in the field for last 7 years, sir. Sir, in 2047, none of us should be traveling by the cars and vehicles that we are traveling now. We should all be going by electric vehicles. In fact, we should start with it right away. I feel that if we keep talking about energy conservation and then keep sitting in such big halls which are run by electricity, then we are not doing the right thing. In my district, we have 2,500 solar street lights that we have put up by years are actually using IOCL cells. That should be made a norm for all places. All the government buildings should be run on solar, should not be running on electric power at all. So the second point that I want to mention is regarding MMR and IMR. I have a 3-year-old daughter myself, but I do not think that I might not live through my pregnancy. So that confidence should be there for all women in the country. If we can meet up the sustainable development goals by say 2030, then the rest of the journey would be much easier. So you spoke about the middle income trap that India might be in if we don't work on reaching the high income group. In the same way, Abhijit Banerjee and Esther Dubrow spoke about the poverty trap. Poverty trap, which if we don't work on using the income that we are generating by redistributing among the most necessary, then we will not be able to reach this goal of a 2-digit MMR and a 1-digit IMR, which is the standard in the US, as we will match their GDP and PPP parity with US and other developed countries. So these are my two visions as a civil servant when I will be as a civil servant in 2024, this is what I think my India should be, sir. Where the last woman in the most disadvantaged position, in the most rural area, should be empowered enough to go ahead and live her life and be bold enough to come to a lady metric or a bigger one and speak her mind out and have a safe pregnancy and inheritance. Thank you, sir.
Namaskar, I'm Somani Bharat, Joint Secretary BioTechnology from India. This is the addition to what all the speakers have already spoken about. Two areas, sir. One is the climate change and the big science which is going to happen in the next 25 years. And due to climate change, I foresee that there is going to be a lot of internal migration as well within India. I mean, whether it is rapid urbanization, but there is a lot of shift in pressure of human migration within India, and how, as a civil servant, we are going to cope to these kind of pressures. Second point is that, I mean, whatever we are assuming or making presumptions, that is always for peace time. But situations like COVID, which happened this last 2 years going through, or whatever is happening in Ukraine, so all these man-made havoc or natural calamities, like how we are going to be more resilient to face, whether it is our economy, whether as a civil servant, as a collective leadership, how we are going to face this kind of situations. And third point I want to add is, as we are a young nation today, but 25 years from now, those who are young are going to be middle age or senior citizens. So sooner or later, we are going to be another country with a huge population who may become 50 plus or 60 plus or something. So it's a huge population to be managed as far as service delivery is concerned. So taking clue from Japan, like where the senior citizens, like as we are moving ahead, single family or lot of schools in urbanization. So maybe sooner or later, so far as the health, for example, health is concerned. So they have long care institutions, not hospital, but providing all kinds of care for the senior citizens. So I think whatever is happening in district, like all these Vridhashram or senior citizen, so just for an example. So we all know that what kind of conditions actually prevail in this government supported or government run Vridhashram or senior citizen. Like even real estate also senior citizen friendly designs are coming up now. So how India in 25 years, so as a policy, as a collective leadership, I think we need to look at that as well, that how we are going to service the huge population going to be raising with time. Thank you very much.
My name is Niti. I am an IT officer and ADCP in Tamil Nadu. Sir, honorable speakers have repeatedly emphasized that the teaming between the public sector and the private sector is the road to the development in future. I agree that, sir, one important issue is that our honorable Prime Minister also is emphasizing time and again that this would not be possible unless there is a safe and secure environment in the society. That means good guard order. So if you see, policing is a state subject. However, and most of the state governments provide funds for policing and security activities. And a large chunk of the money also comes from the center in the form of the modernization of policemen, like that. So a large chunk of the funds which is locked in the corporate social responsibility is not available to the policing and security activities. Actually,
public security and safety is not at all a item on which corporates can spend money. So my suggestion is that for having a safe and secure environment in the future, public safety and security can be included into the rules of the corporate social responsibility, which will definitely facilitate a better availability of the funds for the safety and security. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Pradeep Agarwal. I am working for Biotechnology, sir. Actually, I have a very specific thing to say and specific intervention as CEO Niti Aayog, Mr. Amitabh Khan also I've been advocating about it. The issue is that I am into the infrastructure, sir. We create infrastructure, and then the problem is that asset management. The asset management, the way we do, sir, like in Pradhan Mantri Yojana, we experimented it, is performance assessment of the asset being done by the maintenance agency, by any maintenance agency. So my suggestion would be very small and very specific, sir. We can issue guidelines as a mandatory thing that all the infrastructure asset management is to be based on performance assessment of the outcome result, either of the infrastructure construction or its upkeep. We have shown a way there in Pradhan Mantri Yojana around 150,000 kilometers of the roads we are maintaining throughout the country, sir. Based on this performance assessment of roads, not on the type of the work or the quantum of the work being done, which ensures that the quality construction is there because the same agency will maintain it for another 5 years based upon the nominal rate or nominal amount. So this parameters we have already established in our scheme, and this can be replicated across the India by various government departments. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Subhashu Pandey. I will be touching a completely different aspect which cannot be separated from Vision 2047. Judicial system in the country and all the judicial structure that today we are having, whether you have the civil jurisprudence, criminal jurisprudence, and the commercial dispute settlement. All these structures are one of the biggest bottlenecks in the growth of the country. Civil disputes, they don't get settled, they stamp the life of a person for 20, 30 years, they will just not get settled, and this is a huge cost to the government and frustration to normal citizens. In the criminal administration, as one of my colleagues was mentioning, actually the victim is often feels as if he is an accused. He doesn't have the confidence that he will be treated as victim. Now this is a ground reality. And for commercial disputes, if you see, even though we have set up commercial courts, but all the commercial dispute settlement still goes out of India, goes to Singapore, Hong Kong, London, and commercial dispute settlement should become a norm, that none of the commercial disputes should go to judiciary and it should get settled, because if it is not settled in 6 to 8 months' time, the value loss that you have is immense. And this is a great discouragement to any investment in India. Unless you improve the civil jurisdictions and systems, you improve commercial dispute settlement, the investment flow in India and the industrial growth in India will suffer very hugely. So this is an area which perhaps we are not discussing in this room, but for Vision 2047, for every Indian citizen, that should also be a vision.
Good afternoon, sir. So I am Pradhan 2009 batch Assam Sadar, presently I collect Kolkata. I just had a quick couple of points. One was a humble request to CEO Niti Aayog, sir. So often as collectors in the field, we tend to reinvent the wheel, sir. So is it possible from Niti Aayog to have some data repository and handholding, sir, for replication of best practices, not only for aspirational districts, for all districts, sir? We could have some reliable edtech platforms, sir, facilities which would enable us to find out which facility is located how far from habitation, and it would enable us to actually saturation, sir. Thank you, sir. And another query to Professor Jindal, sir. So in terms of energy production costing, our cost of energy production in India is almost 100 times that of China for renewable energy, for non-renewable energy sources, sir. So what would be the prognosis for non-renewable energy sources, sir? Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. I know this topic is really quite engaging and we would definitely like to be benefited from your views. However, we are constrained with the time. So I believe, okay, you make your point, but this would be the last one. We'll request everyone who has anything to contribute, please mail us and write to us. We would certainly take it forward.
नमस्कार सर, मैं एक डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट को ध्यान दिलाना चाह रहा हूँ। सर हम अगर 2047 के विजन की बात कर रहे हैं तो हमें रूरल एरिया के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और उसके ह्यूमन रिसोर्स पे भी ध्यान देना होगा और उसके ह्यूमन को रिसोर्स में कन्वर्ट करने के लिए खासतौर से जो हमारे रूरल यूथ है उनका स्किल अपग्रेडेशन किया जाना भी आवश्यक है ताकि उनका इंडियन इकोनॉमी में कंट्रीब्यूशन हो, जीडीपी में कंट्रीब्यूशन हो, तभी हम लोग अपने जीडीपी के दर को बहुत तेज गति से आगे ले जाएंगे।
Now I request Honorable Minister to kindly make some concluding remarks. Thank you.
So first, let me just thank all the participants who made very constructive and positive suggestions. I greatly appreciate the suggestion made by the young collector from Assam on MMR and IMR and on the SDG goals, both on which SDG goals, a lot of work has been done by Niti state by state by state. We do this SDG ranking, etc. We have in fact gone very deep into working with the states and on MMR and IMR. We've done a lot. Those are very key indicators of performance on aspirational districts. Our objective was that what we've learned from the aspirational district should really be carried forward by other district collectors, young dynamic collectors like you, should also use the power of data and ranking to do your block ranking, etc.
Carry it down to the block level.
Yeah, block level. And that Prime Minister has actually said that many states are actually taking this forward, UP and many states. So those of you and our dashboard champions of change has given that delegated authority to the collectors to use that power. We can give you the access to that dashboard. You can do that. There's been some very good suggestions made by DOLR, Joint Secretary, related to climate change, and I mentioned that this will be a very key challenge on how to decarbonize hard-to-abate sectors like refinery, long-distance transport, steel, fertilizer, etc. And how quickly we are able to use renewable energy to convert water into green hydrogen, because that will be the fastest route to bring clean energy in India. Will be a challenge. Very good suggestions. Mr. Sandeep Mittal made the suggestion of public versus private and safe and secure order. In fact, wherever there is law and order, in the private sector we go there only. So it's very clear that there is a very direct correlation between good criminal justice system, a good law and order system, and good private sector investment. And therefore, it's critical that there is good law and order. And I think our colleagues from the IPS have to play a very critical and a significant role in that. On infrastructure sector, there was an issue about we are very good at, and it's a very relevant point, that we are very good at asset creation through the government, extremely poor in operation and maintenance. Every asset that we create, we go and see after 3 to 4 years it's in very poor condition. And that is why it's very important that when contracts are structured, why we are advocating PPP is because if you look at the construction of airports,
Airport Authority of India in Chennai and in Calcutta, you see the quality difference in terms of design, vision, operation, maintenance, everything. And that is why it's very important to structure PPP projects which give you 30, 35 years of operation and maintenance by the private sector. And actually, I do not envisage that by 2047, government will be in the business of either doing business. There should be no public sector at all by 2047, to my mind. The government has already said that there will be public sector in 4 key strategic areas, and the cabinet has said this. But I personally feel that those strategic areas will be also very few and far between, like space and atomic in space. Also, we have private sector indicated very vigorously now through NSIL, and atomic areas is the small modular reactors which are making big headway. So I think it's very important, and I reiterate this point, that government, all of us must learn the art of structuring projects and de-risking projects. Sudhanshu Pandey made the very important point about judicial reforms, and it's really the key to good sustainable growth over a long period of time. Massive reforms need to be carried out, especially on the criminal dispute system, because much that has been done. If we are not able to sustain it in partnership with the judiciary, that's a very key area to look at for 2047. The DC from Assam, Kokrakar, Nali made several points, and I can assure you that we'll be very happy. We have a repository of best practices. It's digitally available. We'll share it with all the collectors. We'll be very happy to work with GS mapping system. In fact, it will be an extension of what we are doing. And we will be very happy to help you with everything that you said. Niti will handhold you for everything. We are willing to handhold every state, which we do that on a regular basis. We are willing to handhold every single collector. Every single collector will, anything that you need, any assistance, any support, any intellectual content, any technology, anything that you need, we are there at your beck and call. So please fall back on us. We'll fully support you to become successful officers. That's our responsibility, and we'll help you to achieve that. Anything which is cutting edge, so you need us to. We'll be very happy. And the last point that was made was about 2047 and rural development, very important, very critical. Somebody had raised the issue of urbanization. Whether we like it or not, India is going to have a very rapid pace of urbanization. Almost 500 million people will get into the process of urbanization in the next 3 to 4 decades. Therefore, the challenge is that we should not do unplanned, unsustainable urbanization, which is what is happening today in India. Do plan, as Subbu had said, do big thinking on that. And that would require a visionary approach of how do you manage, how do you do transit-oriented development, how do you do vertical development on the back of TOD, and so on. There's a whole challenge of census towns in India. There are almost 3,867 census towns in India, which are actually, as per census, are urban areas, but states treat them as rural areas simply because they get money from Manrega and Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana and many other schemes. So there is no plan in our census towns. There is no plan for unplanned, unsustainable urbanization is taking place, which to my mind is one of the biggest challenges which we are confronted with. And therefore, these are very key critical issues which have been raised. I think all of us need to work towards them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Councillor.
Yeah, I think it's been quite a thought-provoking interaction. But if you permit, I think we need to go a little deeper. It's not easy to look at 2047. I think we are taking a very simplistic view. We are talking as if we are all now, sitting down here to plan the 5-year plan for 2047 without even being able to realize what it is going to be. But yeah, if we try to look back at 1947 and then try to track the journey, maybe we might get the extent and scale of what it's going to be. And to that extent, it's been a remarkable journey. The very fact that we have survived as an independent nation, proving the prophets of doom wrong. Nobody believed that, nobody trusted that. The leader of opposition in the House of Commons, Mr. Churchill, had gone to the extent of saying that in 50 years we'll be going back to the bad regime. We did. Our neighbors who achieved freedom simultaneously did so. In every sphere of life, and our governance has played a major role in that. Our civil servant is the instrument, the tool of good governance, which has a bearing on everything else. So I think I would rather try to strike an optimistic note and look at it. And also, we tend to easily forget that 75 years is a very small age in the life of a nation. Again, the contradiction is that when you look at 75 years, you look from your chronology of age, the mortal chronology. For a mortal being, 75 years is, overlived, going beyond the average lifespan. But in the age of a nation, 75 years does not even occupy the footnote of a chapter. Just go through your history books which you might have read during your school days. You see the Maurya era, the Gupta era, the British era. You don't find a separate chapter for 75 years. So we have to actually first judge that kind of perspective to develop the kind of vision that we are going to envisage for 2047. Thirdly, the governance, though we are that is the theme this morning and the next day, is not to be seen in isolation. It can't happen. The societies evolve as a whole. The nations evolve as a whole. Much of what has been expressed in concern in this room for the last few minutes, you would realize has a huge bearing on our social milieu. Like, for example, Amitabh rightly mentioned about the nutrition part, which is not happening in the optimum manner, it's not being conducted. But the basic fallacy, if you just take the example of nutrition itself, because that's what was there, but in a single sentence, I would say in India or in the Indian society, nutrition is therapeutics, it is not prophylaxis. And I'll give you a small example. Just visit any hospital, beginning from AIMS to sub-district hospital to any distance. You'll have fruit stalls outside the hospital. And whenever you visit an ailing person, you carry 1 dozen apples or some orange, as if it is meant only when you fall sick. So you have to consume fruit only when you fall sick, not otherwise. So that social milieu which has over the years conditioned our minds also has a bearing on this. Similarly, I give you another example of the kind of manner in which we sometimes tend to. Professor Junjunwala was referring to the institutional, rightly so we express ourselves that we should have quality institutions. Now, the fallacy has been at two levels. We have compromised quality for quantity. Though it may not be correct to say, but his own institute, which was known as one of the 5, is now become one of the 25. I can't even name the others. So we have tinkered with for reasons other than academics. These are extra academic reasons which motivated us to indulge in quantifying, maybe sometimes political reasons, sometimes public demands, because these are certain things which go hand in hand in a democratic setup. But the democracy also evolves in course of time. Maybe as an elected member, I feel constrained. I felt against Niti when I asked for an aims for my place. I said, I may not find the kind of activity that I would require. DVR was the chief secretary. There was a whole huge protest. I just believe I came across. But then I have to go back to come back to you because you are there for 35 years. I am here only for 5 years. So I have to renew my term. But the voter will also want. The voter will also say, yes, we don't need so many actors. So as I said, we are evolving. I'll give you a small example. Chandrawala will be amused about it. A few years back, I was sitting with the Vice Chancellor of the Cambridge University, who happens to be a teacher of microbiology. Invest the teachers and the judges don't retire. These are entertaining about it. So in the course of conversation, he tells me, now I was complete. All my PhD is from India. If I didn't have students from India, my PhD would close. So when he left, I asked the other person, will he get another medical? I said, was it a compliment or a voting? I said, because Indians go there to fetch a trophy. So that has to evolve. The quantity, it can't happen in isolation. No, I will do this, I will do this, collector will do this, Niti, Aayog will do this, hand voting. You have to move as a whole. Whole of government means whole of society. In Britain, a person will go for a PhD only if he or she has decided to devote the rest of his or her life to that subject. Either you come out with something miraculous, secure a Nobel Prize, or leave a legacy for others to carry forward. Here, you go get a PhD in computer science, come back and become a scientist or a secretary in biotechnology. I have a number of examples I can name also. I couldn't be. So your degree has nothing to do with the kind of job that you will do. So all these things will evolve in course of time. But notwithstanding all this, I think what is remarkable is, like Hippocrates once said in the context of medicine, the most miraculous when he says there are so many, it is not still available to treatment. He said the most remarkable thing is the human being is still able to survive in spite of all the hostilities around him. So I think notwithstanding everything else, the most remarkable thing is that the journey has been always on the ascent, India's graph. And I think the best personification of that is the sector which is being represented by Somnath. When Sarabhai and Satish Dhawan started there, people must have laughed. That was around late 50s and 1960s, early 60s, Soviet Union had already sent a human being into this space. And 1969, Neil Armstrong, an American, landed on the surface of the moon. And what were we doing? We were singing nursery rhyme, Chalta Mama. And it's not a matter of pride. I said that other day while talking to scientists in this department. I said when Neil Armstrong landed on the surface of the moon, you had only BBC those days, which used to picture it. So he made a very famous statement: one small step for man, a giant step for man. Had a straw around, which was picturized. I said Neil Armstrong went on the surface of the moon, had a straw but couldn't see water. Our Chandrayaan went there and got pictures of water. And it has relevance because water may sometimes point out to the semblance of habitat, H2O. Person landing there. So we have in a way taken over. I think personally we have taken over the space technology, both Russia and America. The Mangalyaan is now providing pictures to NASA. And our institute in Toronto, which is the only one of its kind in space technology, is giving 70% of its placement to NASA. So I think in spite of all contradictions, because and then it's not very fair to compare India with other countries. For the simple reason that we are not homogeneous at all. Korea is homogeneous, Japan is homogeneous. China also to an extent, in spite of its population, social homogeneity is there. We are heterogeneous in every way. I appreciate what he was talking about imponderables. The imponderables you said COVID. COVID, in other words, I am translating into a wider imponderable. Imponderables are also diverse in India. India, in south you will have a cyclone, North you will have a dot, here you will have accessory body. So even import ripple is not uniform. I remember way back, there was a huge cyclone in the Tripartite state, Odisha. That was 2001, 99. We had a conference there and I was the organizer in coalition. So nobody knew what to do. It was just about a week left. So they asked the chairman of the society was Professor M.M.S. Sahuja, one of the founder members of All India Institute. There is no. So known to be a very hard taskmaster, very tough, very. So my other colleague, D.V. Rao from Hyderabad, he said nobody can hear counter if you talk to him. And then asked me, can we go ahead? So somehow in my course of life, I have been able to earn the affection of all the others. So I gathered courage, both of us went to a STD booth to make a talk. So I said, sir, ऐसे साइक्लोन आया है. तो जब आपने कहा कि जितेंद्र सिंह जिस मुल्क में हम रह रहे हैं इसका नाम क्या है? So I didn't know what he meant. I thought he was there. बोले कि मैंने पूछा इस मुल्क का नाम क्या है? तो मैंने कहा साहब हिंदुस्तान. तो ये हिंदुस्तान है ना. आज वहाँ तूफान आया, कल वहाँ बाढ़ आएगी, परसों सूखा आएगा. यही चलेगा यहाँ पर, लेकिन हमें भी साथ साथ चलना है. So this even the import ripples are not that easily manageable in this country, and that again is a challenge to government. So governance here is a huge challenge in India. That is why no wonder in BOPT till the COVID set in, we were getting interns from Britain. Because they were, and we were getting the governance interns, the civil service interns. And in the aims we were getting interns from medicine to see the tropical diseases like malaria, tuberculosis, it doesn't happen. So nevertheless, this will go on and on. What I'm trying to say is that some of the suggestions which have come in are not necessarily those which would be applicable in 2047, but yes, they can be applicable immediately. Like for example, somebody mentioned about the compliances, and I'm glad the Prime Minister is himself very keen to reduce the compliances. I did a small study last year. I realized to set up a clinic, you have to get about 64 NOCs. And there was a young medico from Coimbatore. He wanted to set up a clinic in the COVID times, and he thought he would do it purely on solar energy. And still, he was asked to get an environmental clearance from the Power Ministry. He went to the Power Ministry. The Power Ministry said, "Hamari सूची में लिखा है, what can we do?" इसमें लिखा है, like a good collector, the lady was laughing. Now you will also say, "I can't risk my increment. It is there in the list." So that governance also will get liberated. Mr. Parikar, when he became the Chief Minister of Goa, he used to create a very interesting interview because I had a very beautiful relationship with him. So he was also from a technical side like me. So बोले साहब यही दुनिया अलग है, एकदम मुझे कहते. That was I think 2000 when he became first time. I said, what happened? Those days we used to give certificates of being alive to the pensioners, which of course if you are not digitalized that after I came I said this is not human. Now we also use face technology for that. So कोई आया आदमी कह रहा साहब मेरे पास पेंशन का सर्टिफिकेट नहीं मिल रहा क्योंकि मेरे पास वो प्रमाण पत्र नहीं है मिलता. तो he immediately took the notice of it and he said this आदमी को दे दो. कहते साहब हर साल मार्च में देना पड़ता है, तो वो दिया नहीं है. तो उन्होंने दे दिया, दे के पेंशन हट गई. और वो एक्चुअली क्या था कि उसकी पिछली की पेंशन उठी, तो मार्च पिछले साल की, तो अगले का कुछ निकल गया था, कुछ नहीं निकला, तो उसने ले लिया. अब जो हो गया तो मनोहर जी मुझे सुनाने लगे 15 दिन के बाद फिर क्या गया. मैंने कहा ये क्या सर्विस आ गई. तो मैंने कहा वैसा आपने सारा कर तो दिया. बोले साहब वो कर तो दिया, लेकिन उसमें बीच में 1 महीने की नहीं मिली. तो ये क्या है? कहते साहब वो सर्टिफिकेट में उसने लिखा कि इतने से इतने मार्च, तो बीच वाला महीना रह गया. और क्यों? So that is why कर्म योगी shift from rule to role. But mind you, the shift from rule to role will not happen only through digital methods. We we have to allow the young officers the liberty to take on these board decisions in good faith. We have to trust their integrity, and they have to live up to that integrity. Yes. You see, and this is a matter of integrity. This is the whole. Mr. Chaturvedi, who was the chairman of IIPA before I came, used to narrate a very interesting anecdote, which I think is one of the examples how integrity works, because then nobody will question. Then they would not say कि किसी से पैसे लेके ऐसे कर दिया है, किसी ने कर दिया, उसको कहा पेंशन के 10% मुझे दे देना, मैं तुझे सर्टिफिकेट देता हूँ, ऐसा नहीं है. Because we created that kind of impression around. That perception has to be, and that perception can go only through hard, consistent integrity. So Mr. Chaturvedi said I became SDM in Hyderabad, and my collector was a Britisher, because on their own, we Britishers came in 1950-51, even our first commander-in-chief was a Britisher, which then Prime Minister wanted to continue, but then Patel, we had correct path. So there was an Andhra, a local person, BVR place, who had set up a new cinema hall or something, so he wanted it to be inaugurated by the collector. So the collector was there. Finally, after a lot of persuasion, he gave it. So he took Chaturvedi along. So Chaturvedi कहते वहाँ पे पहुँचे. So he, after the inauguration happened, he said, I have arranged some refreshments. So the collector was again happy to come, but the Reddy was very insistent. So finally, in the hearing distance of everybody, the British collector said, Chaturvedi, you know very well I don't eat outside. Now he is insisting you have, but don't take anything that contains salt. Get my point? The message is loud and clear that my SDM is going to take something. So it was not only justice being done, also appearing to have been done, and that I think is the spine of the credibility of governance. But I'm lucky that we have in Prime Minister somebody who is always open to out-of-box decisions. As far as the PPP is concerned, I agree with Amitabh. I go one step further. We have no option. This demarcation, mind you, even before 2047, the demarcation is going to get over. This PPP is going to be single demand. It all has to be collected, otherwise we can't thrive. There has to be a larger integration, academia, industry, research, and science. And as far as Somnath area is concerned, actually what is happening is also lack of awareness about technology, which I think the collectors can help us. Many of the ministries are not aware of what we have. Like the other day I was sitting in Jal Shakti ministry and they said, we have a technology to reuse the sewage water. I said, we already installed a plant in Motiba, one of the now they are heliport technology we introduced in Rajasthan because we educated them, because you don't have to dig the well and then this is what we meant for the collectors. Gone are the days when you used to dig a well and then find out if the water is the money would go waste, the manpower would waste. Now we have camera-borne helicopters who can detect what is there. So all these things, I think this is new innovation, which drone farming, something that the collectors are talking strictly from the mandate of the collectors that they can do. And the agriculturals will come forward with a lot of enthusiasm. The single journey of single round of a tractor, the drone can simultaneously do irrigation, do pesticide, do nutrients, saves money, saves life. And the other issue which came up, I think, was BVR made a good point. This overwork. Actually, India may be fashion of overtime. So you have to work overtime. So overtime fetches more money, fetches more shabashi. And as the story I created in the morning, so that all is in the mind. So unless if we have a good time management and focus and in fact, in private sector, way back, because I've seen in the drawing there, so in 1990s, after the ask you to do biometrics. It's all part of governance. Why do we have to ensure that you have biometrics? Why every morning 9:30 you have to show your palm there? Because we don't trust you. No, I'm telling you honestly. I was amazed. In 1998 or so, I was part of one of the corporate advisors. Nothing of that sort. In the morning, everybody would report with the earlier days task. The task had to be completed. In between आप जाइए, अब रेस्टोरेंट में हुआ ये अब हमारे यहाँ क्या कल्चर बन गया सरकार में कि आज बीआर आज देख लेना मैंने आज बच्चे की फीस जमा करानी है, तो आज की दिहाड़ी उसी पे लग गई. But now, of course, we are coming out of that. But that sarkari mindset हमारा जो है, because when we say PPP is not going, no longer going to exist, the change is going to happen at the social level also, and even in our social thinking. So it's going to be both social engineering as well. So and in fact, all these ingredients, I think biometrics, attendance, it's all also going to be obsolete by 2047. So it will give me. And it's going to happen because it's not that we would work for it, but it will happen in the natural course of the progression. Because it's going to be a global world, and once we have the global world, we have no option but to follow the global benchmarks. We'll have to live like this. And last but not the least, we pointed out very scientific projection of the old age population becoming higher in 2047. Rightly so, now we have 70% population below the age of 40, that time we'll have the reverse. But what we are not realizing today is that it's only half truth when we say India is a young nation today. Because the graph actually is biphasic, as a good student of science will say. On the one hand, the population of the young has become more than 70%. On the other hand, the old have not refused to live. They are continuing to live. So the actual number of the old age population has also gone up. The challenge for governance will appear and started appearing. The number of pensioners today in government is higher than the number of serving employees. It is just the other way around in 1947. So the lifespan has increased. So the best method would not be how to deal with old age alone. That of course, best would be how to find the optimum utility for each age group. Because each age group has its own. I have tried to suggest maybe some thoughts we could actually work on, like superannuating at age of 60 with the prime of your experience and expertise, how best to keep utilizing you in some kind of advisory capacity or other things. Because even though we are by percentage a young nation, but in actual number we are also equally number of old. And this challenge is already started. It will have a reverse percentage projection in 2047, but the number actual of the old and the young will also keep increasing. So we would have to. So that's why I have requested Capacity Commissioner Mr. Srinivas is already working on to first let's have 2047 indices and then scientific procedure. So I'll not take long because for almost 25 years of my life, the user was being paid to